he's finally taken the ramp. One of the High Templar finally coming up with a storm, but Cal, I think, maybe committed himself a second turret. If he waited for storms, he would have been able to do a lot more damage, taking a lot less damage in the turn. Again, he's been excellent at microing his Zealots against those spider mines, and now he's actually got a couple of probes at the 11 o'clock position. The STX team cheering and urging Cal to do better. He's got Zealots there, he's going to be able to pick off those Siege Tanks, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't have the Dragoons to back him up as Leta comes out with another group of Vultures. He's going to be able to force Cal back once again and retake that ramp. So back and forth going on, Cal seeming to have the slight upper edge, but he hasn't been able to break Leta's economy. He hasn't been able to break that, and now he's lost most of his Dragoons, and Leta's once again going to be able to actually push out all the way to the edge of that middle dry river and retake the top of the valley, his side of the valley, on the northern side of the valley. Now Dragoons popping out for Cal, so both players keeping up with each other in terms of their macro. I think if Cal could have, maybe he didn't really use his High Templar there, that would have been an ideal chance for him to maybe drop a couple of Zealots and High Templars into that 11 o'clock position and try and inflict some damage on Leta's economy, which has thus far remained unscathed ever since that first attack on those DTs. Leta, once again, Cal just trying his best to not allow Leta to establish a defensive perimeter, going in yet again, continuing to try and break it, managing to run those Zealots into the Siege Tanks, managed to take out most of the Siege Tanks there. I think he's actually taken off all the Siege Tanks just north of the river, but Leta's managed to get more reinforcements in up on that ramp, and unfortunately for Cal, he's run out of Zealots, so he's going to be forced to pull back with his Dragoons. Constant back and forth battle for position, and Cal, again, I have to think that Cal has got to try and do something different here. He seems to be breaking Leta's attacks, but then being pushed back time and time again. The critical thing again for Cal is that he does have that expansion at the 6 o'clock position, but incredibly tense matchup. You can see just the fist of the coach tight, in a tight grip, and he just has no idea what's going to happen right now. Cal once again coming with the Zealots, stasis field against an excellent stasis. Cal has been on top of his game with those stasis fields, trying to get within his Siege Tanks. Leta's reinforcements, it would look like, have arrived just in time to yet again thwart another of Cal's pushes. He's going to get those Siege Tanks down, and this time he's also going to manage to stay his stasis units. Cal, at least on that occasion, not losing his Arbiter, managing to pull his forces back. So, heavy back and forth game between these two players. Only advantage for Cal is that he's prevented Leta from taking that 12 o'clock expansion, although Leta, I feel, probably would be able to take it when he feels the need to, but for the moment he's having to concentrate everything. He's now going to send a couple of Vultures down while he's rebuilding his defense. Cal, I think, probably might, if he could maybe get a recall in, that might be able to shift the game in his favor. He seems to be repeatedly trying to break his opponent's defense with the same units and not being able to do so, unfortunately. Looks like he's got 202 upgrades on his Zealots. Leta, I'm not sure, I haven't checked his upgrades. I am unfortunately recording this commentary in Windows Movie Maker, so the screen size is quite small, which makes it a little bit difficult for me to read the upgrades on the player's windows, that being with the fact that I'm half blind. Well, I'm not really, but anyway, so moving on. God, my screen is dirty. Anyway, so Cal continuing to try and do some damage and continue to try and establish some sort of position. He's at least kept that part of the river clear from where Leta was able to just get in and get into that position from where he could shell Cal's National Expo. Cal, both players now at this stage mined out in their main, and we are truly having an epic contest, and this just shows how important this match is. Cal once again coming with another attack, managed to get a storm on the Siege Tanks that are just below the ramp, but unfortunately for Cal, Leta does have forces positioned up on the ramp, and this attack definitely is going to fail for Cal. He's managed to get another stasis field off on the Siege Tanks. I think that was a little bit of a waste. There was no need for that stasis field. He does get another storm off, but those Siege Tanks just about survive, and Leta's got an SCV waiting there to try and repair them. He's probably going to start repairing them ASAP. Another observer coming in, getting taken out by the turrets. So Leta just about holding his defense. Cal has come close to breaking through a couple of times. He has broken through on a couple of other occasions, but it looks like now it's Leta's turn to counterpunch. He's going to finally make the move. So far he's aligned Cal to be the aggressor and put all the pressure on, but now he's moving down the ramp, and this has given Cal a chance to counter as well, coming in with a Zealot, but Leta seems like he has a superior force. He's lured those forces across the valley and taken the advantage of the high ground yet again, and now he's going to be able to push Cal through. Cal needs reinforcements to arrive ASAP. Those stasis Siege Tanks obviously helping Cal a little bit, but now Leta has been able to get 2 Siege Tanks on Cal's side of the valley, and now he's got the strong position to allow him to attack that base at the 6 o'clock position, and we might be seeing the pendulum sway towards Leta's favor, because finally, up until this moment, he seemed to have been content to stay on his side of the valley and just defend and allow Cal's forces to break against him. But he finally committed himself to an attack, and his one attack, as opposed to Cal's numerous attacks, was successful. And Cal now running a line of probes towards that 12 o'clock expansion. I think he might have put up a Nexus there, and he's just lost about 6 or 7 probes very carelessly, and that was poor by Cal, not paying attention to his units, and he's just sacrificed those units to no end. There's nothing up there. He hasn't even got a Nexus up there. Maybe he was trying to run them into siege tanks. I don't know what he was trying to do, but it was clearly a silly mistake, and now his expansion at the 6 o'clock position is coming under fire from that siege tank, and Leta, having taken the middle of the map, is able to lay siege to that. Cal's going to be forced to bring up his troops around, and Leta meanwhile has got loads of spider mines to intercept Cal's forces. He's only got the one siege tank though, so Cal should be able to hopefully break this, but he's going to have to sacrifice a decent number of forces in return for this. Zealots streaming in, Leta's bringing a couple more forces back up, and he managed to pick off the shuttle with the Goliaths. Cal trying to run around with the Zealots and get within range of the siege tanks. Storm on only a single siege tank, not very economical use of the storms. A better storm this time, but Leta's siege tanks weren't in siege mode, and therefore he was able to just walk through them and walk south. And now that 6 o'clock expansion is going to go down for Leta, for Cal. Meanwhile, Leta is going to take the 12 o'clock expansion and take a firm foothold in this game, and it does look like we're going to be seeing OnGameNet Sparkies progress through to the semi-finals of the Pro League playoffs of this season. Cal losing that 6 o'clock expansion. He's not been able to break Leta's blockade on a single occasion. I suppose he did kind of semi-break it a couple of times, but not really for any decent length of time. Cal looks like he's keeping the pressure on. He's managed to sneak Dragoons through again, stopping Leta from taking that 12 o'clock expansion, but he's lost that 6 o'clock expansion to Leta. Managed to maneuver around the north end of the valley because Leta's forces were primarily on the south end trying to take that 10 o'clock expansion, and Cal might be able to effect some sort of a counter here to try and go for that expansion, but Leta does have siege tanks up on that hill. Great storms again from Cal, managed to take a couple of the siege tanks out, but more reinforcements arriving for Leta, obviously with the shorter supply route. I feel that this attack of Cal is going to get snuffed out, trying to go and get within range of that 11 o'clock expansion. Cal only having about 4 Dragoons surviving. Leta sacrificing that science vessel just to keep. I don't know why he needs to do that. He could have pulled that back. But those Dragoons fighting a running battle, they're going to get a couple of SCV kills, but no more. He's now trying to focus his attack on the siege tank, trying to do as much damage as he can before he loses that force. But really, Cal once again coming up a little bit short on that occasion. He managed, and again, I'm not sure what those probes were doing for Cal. He sent a big bunch of probes to that 12 o'clock expansion where he doesn't have a nexus, and this is the second time, and he's going to lose all of these probes. It's almost like he's fighting with probes. He's mined out. I think the problem for Cal is that he's running out of resources. He's mined out at his natural expo, his main, and the 3 o'clock expansion. It looks like he's only mining from the 5 o'clock expo. Leta looks like he's also mining only from the 11 o'clock expo, but he does have control, and that 12 o'clock expo is going to prove crucial here, as is the 6 o'clock expo, which Leta has control of. Cal once again committing his forces. Leta fighting a retreating battle now against those Dragoons and Archons and High Templar. High Templar obviously out of energy. Leta able to micro back well enough and take out Cal's forces and holding the defense this time, and that's going to be pretty much GG there. I think that was Cal's last gasp to try and get something going. I think those probes were just trying to maybe mine some minerals from that base at the 12 o'clock position, even though he didn't have a nexus there, but Leta does have an expansion up and running, so Leta has now got the 2 expansions with healthy minerals as well as the control of the 6 o'clock expansion to Cal, who is almost completely mined out. He's just about to run out of minerals at his 5 o'clock expansion, and that's going to finish the fuel to his fire, and you can see disdain and disappointment on the STX, all heads in their hands, and really they have themselves to blame. Huashin had a good chance to win, lost out, and then again in game 4 we saw Shuttle throw the game away with a silly attempt, with a silly choice of strategy, just as Justin did in game 1. So STX obviously returning the favor, and this is going to be GG. OGN are going to go through to the playoffs, and it's just a matter of the last gasp, last breath being snuffed out off Cal's by Leta. Cal trying desperately to try and get into that 6 o'clock expansion and try and retake it, but he's really going to struggle. He's going to try and break Leta's blockade just on his side of the river. Leta has more than enough time to bring those vultures into reinforce, and Leta's now unsieging his tanks. He's got a massive force on the ground. He's just going to roll over Cal right now, and you can see the OGN team cheering Leta 7-0, and STX looking impressive, and GG from Cal. Great game of StarCraft, great series. This is Klazart, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it.